What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about my 2021 Polaris Khaos, aptly named the Iron Lotus. Let's get into it. All right, so each and every year, it's tough. It's hard to decide like what we're gonna build. And this season at Next Level, I decided to go with a whole fleet of Polaris 850 Khaos sleds. I really liked the Khaos. I love the platform. We're getting a bit confused where we're kind of acting like the Pro and the Khaos are two totally different machines, which I think we all know now that besides the tipped up rail and the slightly longer center shock, that the chassis in itself, Pro versus Khaos, very similar. So there's a lot of characteristics about both that I really like, but the Khaos, for me, I'm a smaller rider. I really do like, and you guys have seen from plenty of videos and stuff that I post, I do like the idea of a lot of front end lift. I really like doing hopovers. I like doing a lot of the sort of the on the hillside gymnastics, like re-entries, things like that. And the Khaos platform for me and my style of riding just fit that really, really well. And so, not to take away from that, we took a 2021 155 Khaos and we added a few things. We tried to shed some weight, as I usually do, add some shocks, the cool wrap, and a slew of the other Next Level Skins products. So moving around the snowmobile, obviously, I can't say enough about the Arctic FX graphics wrap. This is the Adams Alpine edition, and it's really neat to see how all the colorways go together. And I really like the gray. Obviously, you guys know how much I love black. So adding the purple and the pops of blue in here, just neat to see the way these color combos go together, and just makes for such a neat machine. So adding the Helium Hood from Skins, that gives you a ton of storage. You got the windshield bag storage up here. Storage typically here in the access panel. With the twin pipes that we'll talk about, that storage goes away, but I love the look of the Helium Hood. We've got the Next Level Skins bags here, and then the tunnel bag that we just talked about in a previous video. I set up the handlebars. I'm always using the black low bar. We cut anywhere from 3/4 to 1 inch off of the stock handlebar, move the throttle, move the brake, move all of that in, get that set up for me. Really like that. So running the Durapro Tethers this year, this is just, it's the thing, it's about the first thing, if you ask anybody, the first thing you would add to a sled would be to put a tether on it for safety. We all know reasons why we'd have the tether, and the Durapro tether with this complete magnet setup is just really simple, makes it nice, really clean install as well. I do run this is a Skins, this is actually a combination of things. So Skins developed along with Cole Wilford and Chris Barrett. This is the 8.3 gallon tank with the frameless seat, and together we're well over the 20 pounds, and you guys have seen this from my other sort of build videos where I'm pulling some significant weight of the snowmobile right out of there, running a few extra gallons or a few less gallons of fuel, and I just like the feel of it as well. I like where my body sits on that as I cross over it, making those transitions from one side to the other really, really good and really easy. I kept the stock running boards on this snowmobile. I'll stay forward on this. Skins Next Level front bumpers, front and rear bumpers. And then what's different for me, you guys have seen me run air shocks for a long time. I mean, nearly 10 years here. And this year trying the new Chris Barrett valved lightweight coil suspension. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been a learning experience. I do ride a fair amount of coil suspension shocks, just with a lot of things that are stock on a lot of our Khaos or RMK or Pro sleds. And this has been a lot of fun, and still making some tweaks and some changes here, but definitely liking the feel of the coil. Whether or not I'm gonna be a coil or an air guy, I just need more seat time, more time in all of those different situations. That's gonna really help sort of identify whether or not I like one versus the other. Down here, you guys can notice a big change running the new Elevate spindle from Ice Age. It's been really, really good so far. It's very tough. It's a really strong component. I was really surprised when I pulled them out of the box. I think they look really, really cool. And again, they raised the snowmobile about 1 inch from the stock spindle. And still, in the process, got just over 100 miles on the sled, in the process of figuring out where that's really gonna be a benefit. So far, so good. There's not anything that is taking away from the sled. So really excited about that. Under the hood, we're gonna get to that here in a second. Once I pull the panels off, you can already see the SLP venting. Essentially, this is an SLP Twin Pipes setup, so it's everything that SLP has for this. So there'll be the twin pipes, the head, the whole deal, and we'll get into that here in a second. Underneath here, as I mentioned, this was a 155 Khaos RMK, and because of Ice Age and how awesome that company is, we put the 165 track and 165 Ice Age rails with their new Hellfire wheels. And so this is still a 275 Series 8 track. And instead of cutting a tunnel, we just decided to have the 155 tunnel here. I didn't do any cuts, didn't monkey with any of this on the back, and just ran with the 165 track and rails. And so for the advantages of the short tunnel and not having a wheelie bar and getting a lot of that out of the way and not having that interference with the snow has really helped. And obviously it's changed a lot of the things and a lot of the ways that we ride. And so having that short tunnel set up like that without having to do a whole lot of work there was really, really cool. Again, new redesigned QR pack. And kind of the whole idea of this was I wanted sleds that I could run just 91 fuel. I didn't have to mix fuel besides the reflash that we do with the SLP Twins. It's essentially like the stock mod sled, something I would ride each and every day, and it's been a lot of fun. All right, so we'll open it up, and I think because the Twins were out last season, you guys remember like the distinct sound of a twin pipe sled, and maybe beyond the horsepower gain, beyond a lot of those things, I'm old school. I like hearing the sound of twins. I think that it, you know, I keep saying it. It's like regardless if I'm really making a whole bunch of like what turbo power would be like, but it sounds so dang cool that you're in the zone and you're running through the tight trees and you've got that crispy sound of twin pipes, and it kind of takes me back to, I don't know, when I used to hear like Brett Rasmussen and some of these older guys like running up the Jackson Hill climb, and you could hear the sound of those twins. And back then, I mean, even triple pipes, and just raising hell coming up those hills. And so I think that kind of takes me back, and it's kind of fun. So really liking the twin pipe setup. So get rid of this. We'll pull the hood off of here and you guys can see what we've done. So the SLP Twin Pipes, much like the Outlaw sled that I built last year, I mean, heck guys, I love that sled so much that after I sold it, I essentially was like, well, there's not a massive change to the Polaris platform, so I'm gonna build what I knew was such an awesome combination of aftermarket parts. And so we kind of set out to build the exact same thing over again. Difference from last year is that was a 163 that we cut the tunnel. This year I just went 155 with the longer track and rails. So twin pipes put together, my crew here, these guys, they do such an exceptional job in terms of just knowing how particular I am. I think that's just the more colorful word for OCD. And you guys realize that I'm not OCD, and that's because, well, those words aren't in, or those letters aren't in alphabetical order. But I like literally, I need every zip tie to be kind of the same direction, and my guys know that. So the install is just so perfect. The amount of heat tape and the things that you have to do to correctly install the twins, it takes time. It's a lot of effort to make it look this way. Between relocating the fuse box and just how it all goes together in here is pretty important. Moving forward, guys, we also have the Power Dome head. So SLP, you know, they're really recommending that you put this whole thing together as a package. So the additional horsepower and the additional sort of mid-range that you get from adding the head really complements the twin pipes. So combining all of that, and then I'm running SLP clutching. So it's a 6042 Helix. It's their, you know, spring, it's their primary spring, it's their weights, their Magnum Force weights. You guys have heard of the adjustable weights. And so that whole thing on this side, really getting that power to the snow, SLP created an awesome package. It really is. So it's a really easy flash that gets the, you know, the ECU program to run the right fuel for the SLP Twins, and that's all these things that are relatively simple. And like I said, it just takes time to make the install just right. And so far so good. Last year's sled ran without a hiccup. I mean, and this sled, first 100 miles, and just no different. The thing is absolutely awesome. ZRP, been running a lot of ZRP stuff. We run the ZRP lightweight clutch cover. I also run the lightweight flywheel as well as the slotted or the lightweight brake rotor. Anytime we can reduce rotating mass within a sled, not just of what the weight looks like when you put it on a scale or you hang the sled, but how it feels when you ride it. And so all of the things and the combination of why it was real easy for me to, well, set out on a couple of these twin pipe builds this year is that my style of riding, it's become where I'm really trying to take the work and take the fatigue away from it. As I get older, I like riding these things that are really rippy. They got a lot of low end torque, and then they're really light for the rider. So the least amount of effort to still get what I need to accomplish. And that's really the reason why I put these sleds together the way I did. I wanted sort of the maneuverability and you know, just the quickness of a 155, but I also value the flotation and being able to go across the hillside of a 165. And so we combine those things where you get kind of the best of both worlds, combine that with some great suspension with the lightweight coils, and you add in some power upgrades. And it's not crazy power. The 850, I mean, the Patriot motor is fantastic. It's just phenomenal what Polaris has done. And we're just taking that and adding just that, you know, just that little bit more, or just optimizing the power that's there. And so that's kind of what the twin pipe and what Iron Lotus really is. And it's been a lot of fun to showcase, you know, the type of riding or the style of riding that a snowmobile like this really sort of presents to people, and getting to ride this with clients and not being like, well, this is this mod sled that I'm only going to take on my days off. This is a snowmobile that I've taken quite a few times with clients, and having them see, you know, what it's like once you start really focusing on, you know, taking some weight away from the sled, adding some performance, take away, you know, some rotating weight, that type of thing. And the whole package just makes, like I said, it makes riding really, really fun, and it takes the fatigue out of it, which is a big one for me this season. Another really important thing to the rider, right, is having the cooker. And there wasn't really a spot on the twin pipes to put one of the hot pots, but we just went ahead and kind of hose clamped it there. And you've got to get really riding, really getting after it for your food to get warm in there. But the idea that we're still able to have that there is pretty awesome. And again, this just showcases some of the install stuff and, you know, just the engineering that went into the twins to fit within the Polaris overstructure, and just how much of that all went into making such a really good looking system. On this sled too, guys, running the standard QD2, so that gearing right now, and it's been a lot of fun. I've been a Kurtz gear down guy for a number of years, still have quite a few sleds running the Kurtz setup, and it's been cool to build some sleds that are unique to these other ones, but just slightly off, whether it's slightly different clutching, slightly different gearing, and just trying to find that balance of, you know, like I said, we're looking for that, or I'm looking for that low end power, not necessarily concerned about top speed, but it's also really fun to build, you know, beat your buddies when you're going uphill. And so we're just finding those balances. And I think that between clutching, suspension, and gearing, that's kind of an ongoing process that anybody that builds snowmobiles, I think that even if you feel like you got it just perfect, you're still gonna mess with it. And so we're still tweaking on these things, but we're having a lot of fun doing it. All right, guys, well, again, I hope you really, really liked the video. We put a lot of time and energy into these snowmobiles, and it ends up being a learning process, and we kind of learn as we go throughout the seasons. And this one was relatively simple. Based on the project sleds that I had built this last season, we had a really good idea going into 2021 what we were going to do, and still made some changes. Went with the stock front end and just running some Elevate spindles and just doing a few little odds and ends, knowing how perfect last year's sleds were. I didn't really want to mess with that too much. So Iron Lotus is an example of so many of these things that, as we have sort of learned on what we really ultimately want, or what I ultimately want out of a snowmobile, you know, this is the finish or the end result. The only thing left to do at this point is get this thing all put back together and go and ride it. So let's go ahead and put that thing back together. Thanks for watching the video. You guys remember to leave those questions and comments below. We appreciate your subscriptions, and we'll see you next time. I'm gonna go ride this thing.